Just because one thing happened in the morning doesn't mean the whole rest of your day is thrown out. I
Mhm.
don't know how many people I've heard say that, "Oh, this happened today and my day's ruined."
Yeah, I know.
Wow, really?
I'm, I'm like, you're gonna
You
own
might as well
that?
just go back to bed.
You're gonna own that? What? Welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Michelle and my super special guest, April Wyett, who's back again. So, founder of Living with Intention. There was just too much in the first conversation. It wasn't too much. It was so much. It wasn't too much. It was so much that we needed a part two. And I think what we landed on, because one of the things that kicked around that I love that you said was turning from worry to wonder. And I
Mhm.
love that whole freaking idea. And if you can just ground us with the quote again, that you had, so we can kind of chat about unpacking that, because I now more than ever, um, there's this need or slash opportunity to empower people to step in from one to the other. So it's all
For
you.
sure. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. My quote is trust and know, and it shall be so. And that really is trusting again in ourselves and then trusting in the universe or whatever the higher power is that we believe in. Know that things are always going to work out, that we have so much more than what our minds believe that we have to support us. And it shall be so. Having that belief and applying that, then of course things will work out the way they need to. And especially, there's a lot of things happening in our lives, in our communities, in the world that really creates that uncertainty and that lacks that trust. And then that puts us into that sympathetic nervous system where we're just so focused on one thing and we can't be open and receive more of the opportunities that are always around us.
It's interesting because when you talk about focused on one thing, it's not a bad thing if it's a good thing. If we're focused on this energy of desperation, and I think that's the distinguishing thing, right? Because you're going to have leaders that go, it's like I was listening to a podcast this morning, Diary of a CEO. And so he had someone on there that was talking about the signal and the noise, right? So to be focused on the things that you need to get done the next 18 hours as far as a CEO goes. And when you're focused on that stuff, then you make the choice of eliminating the rest of the stuff outside of that focus is noise for a very short period of time. This is different, right? Because when you get in that headspace, and it's headspace, by the way, okay? It's not from here. When you're acting and knowing from here, your heart, your center, um, it's not desperation. You don't have desperation in this space. So it's your head that tries to screw with you on that stuff. And we all go through it. It's like, I'll wake up like I'm self-employed, you're self-employed. And there's times it's like, you ebb and flow through business and it's like, holy crap, is it going to be okay? Is it going to, and I'm like, okay, stop, just stop. Right? And I need to center and ground myself in that, knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This will work out. It will work out even better than what I could have imagined. And I think that's it, is we tend to want to control it. And if we
Mhm.
don't see all of it in front of us, then we start to freak out. And to your point with the quote, just know that when you're doing the stuff, and I'm not talking about you're sitting on a couch eating potato chips, doing whatever, and it's all going to work out. No, you have to have a role in it. But the energy with which you show up, there's a big difference between desperation and this energy of commitment and intention and certainty and knowing, that's the space.
Yes, it is and it's the desire of wanting more for ourselves, right? And that uncertainty is going to come back in, as you so perfectly described, because that happens to me also. And I laugh at myself, you know. And this is where we left off from last segment, is how to shift from that worry, from that uncertainty. I say shifting from worry to wonder, bringing in more of a curious questions, or just wanting to know, oh, okay, my mind's thinking this, and it's always going to give you all those terrible scenarios, right? Of
This
everything that could
room, it's not
possibly
gonna
go
work.
wrong.
This is all the stuff. Yeah, to keep us
Yeah.
safe. It's to keep us
And
safe.
it's hilarious, right? What our minds make up. And it's not even true. It's an illusion. It is an illusion. But our minds are trying to protect us, right? It
Mhm,
doesn't want to experience that risk of life-threatening
mhm,
things, of losing money, losing relationships, losing a job, things like that. So when we can really bring it back and just shift that script, like I talked about before, of, okay, I can feel this worry, this overwhelm. I feel it in my body. You know, how can I just shift it a little bit into wonder? I wonder why this person is behaving that way, and not filling in the gap of because they're a jerk and la la la, because that's what our minds like to do. But I wonder what it would be like to be in their shoes. I wonder what amazing opportunities will come out of this as I'm working so hard to create XYZ.
mhm,
Do you see how that just shifting it away, because our minds, and we feel it, right? We feel it in our entire body, that worry, that self-doubt, the uncertainty, the limiting beliefs. We feel it in our shoulders and our neck and our headspace. Other areas of the body respond to that. And when we can just ease it a little bit with that wonder, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we just can kind of step back and just take a breath. And right away, we feel a little lighter. We don't have so much pressure on ourselves. And we're just doing it to ourselves. No one
mhm,
else has a big old bucket dumping it over our heads. It might feel that way,
mhm,
but really we're doing that to ourselves. So that worry to wonder is an amazing and magical little shift there. And that's where we can just move out of that sympathetic nervous system and be more in that rest and digest. Oh, I
mhm,
can relax a little bit. I can step back. I can be more of an observer and witness what's happening. I don't feel
mhm,
like I have to get in there and do something, and that creates more chaos.
mhm. It's interesting when you're talking with the wonder, and especially April, just your tone of voice and the way that you deliver messages. I can see, and I shared with you before we hit record, I spent 4 or 5 days with my two youngest grandkids, 5 and 8. And so it's that wonder thing that kids are so naturally gifted with, right? And it's this just playfulness about it, right? They don't, for the most part, the 8-year-old takes himself seriously, but for the most part, we don't take ourselves too seriously when we're children, right? We're still exploring and curious. And so when we step into that space, you can, and to your point, you actually feel the release of the negative. It doesn't mean that you've got to sit as a bystander. You can still do stuff, but you're doing stuff from a totally different perspective and energy. I'm not stressed, frantic, desperate, right? Because when we
Yes.
do that, the only thing that we're aligning with is frantic, desperate energy.
Hmm.
So all the stuff that you want that will get you unstuck, right? That will help you move forward, you can't connect with because it's like you're on two different freeways. Or the stuff you want to connect with is in an airplane and you're in the car, right? So it's like it's important for us to get out of this cortisol flooded stuff, fight or flight, because like you said, our brain wants to keep us safe, right? It wants to keep us from dying, right?
Yes, it literally takes it as a
Yes,
threat.
yes. But the thing is, all the stuff that you're talking about, for the most part, isn't life ending. But yet that's how our bodies are reacting to it. And so I had a leader this morning I was chatting with, and it was this nervousness and everything going into a meeting. And it
Mhm.
was this meeting of, higher people in the food chain. And so there was this fear and nerves and everything involved, because the narrative that we all have going a lot of times is it has to be perfect. It's all about us. We have to have all the
Mhm.
answers. And like I talked to her about, and this is that wonder space, is when we step into something like that, that we may feel nervous, anxious, fearful, stressed about whatever. It's not about us. Make it about the people that you're going to be in the room with, right? What value are they going to get out of this? And when we make that shift, we let go of that fear. We let go of this idea that it has to be perfect. I have to have all the answers. No, you don't. You're coming with your perspective. So we don't need to worry. We can wonder. And the wonder can be in that scenario is, I wonder what perspective they're going to have. I wonder what questions they're going to have that I can learn from. Because we all go into that room wanting to get value, because our
Mhm.
time is valuable. So I think it's that shift of, I wonder, curiosity. And when we start to
Yes.
feel this heavy anchor of stress that's on us, like you said, the weight on our shoulders, pay attention to that and then ask, what
Mhm.
story do I have going right now? What am I telling myself?
Exactly. Exactly. And what are we telling ourselves about the other people that we're going to be in the meeting with? We're
Mhm,
already projecting things. And so then that is putting a guard up, and we're not going to be able to receive the information they have to share with us. So you hit the nail on the head when you said curious, Michelle. Having a curiosity, uh, just when they say something and you don't quite understand, and instead of the old judgment or the boundary that goes up, deflecting against change or
mhm,
what this person's trying to say, be more curious and ask in a curious, compassionate way. I'm not quite following what you're saying here. Can you just unpack that a little bit for me? Or can you just give me a little, more depth in what you mean by this?
mhm,
Because then it shows that you're actually engaging and you're listening. And then that person will be, oh, because you approached it in the curious, compassionate way instead of snarky,
mhm.
right? Some people
Yeah.
get very, very snarky. And when you approach it that way, then they're like, oh, wow, Michelle is wanting to know more. Somebody's actually listening to me. I'm making this connection. And this is what it is to be human. We crave that connection, that inclusion. We want to be seen, heard, and valued.
Mhm,
And that's the only way we can do it, is with that curiosity and that wonder,
mhm,
and creating that space of safety for ourselves first before we go into a meeting, or before we, whatever it is we're doing, when we're feeling heightened, when we're feeling activated. How can I, just, I wonder what it would feel like if I just took a breath and stepped back, applied a simple breathing technique or a mindfulness, or whatever that is that works for you. Everybody has a different way, right, of
mhm,
tuning in to themselves. Just 30 seconds, people. It just only takes 30 seconds, and it literally shifts your vibration. It shifts your perception, and you're more open to receive more from others and the environment.
mhm. It's funny. I was telling you I was readying the podcast from the last time, uh, for, the first time we were together. And so I was going through and I put the link in the description in YouTube for the, what was it, five principles, five things like that you start off going for, just for today. I'm going to do this just for
Yes.
today. It stood out for me on that, because I think part of it too is we can build up this whatever we're going into that we get worried about or stressed about because we're forward looking and we don't have all the answers, right? And I think what stood out for me is saying those things to ourselves because words matter, and the most important ones are the ones we say to ourselves. It calms us, but it also brings us into the present. And the
Hmm.
present is where that stuff doesn't exist, right? Because for the most part, the anxious and the anxiety is we're forward looking, we don't have all the frickin' answers. Well, no one does. Someone does, but most humans don't. And then the sad and depressed stuff comes because we're looking back and focusing on that stuff that we can't change. We can't change, but what can we learn from it, right? We can't change it. But the words that you said before ground us into the present, and the present is where we have control. We have control over what happens now. How do we show up? How are we stepping into the meeting? What language are we using? Are we, to your point, I remember somebody, it was a few years back, that she was describing going into this meeting with another leader. And she said, every time I go in, I just have to armor up.
Hmm.
I'm like, holy
Wow.
cow. But we say these words and we don't realize what our
Yes.
subconscious is doing and readying us for. So I
Mhm.
said, what happens when you armor up? I mean, literally when you're armoring up, you're preparing for battle. When
Yes.
people put armor on, they're going into battle, life or death kind of thing. And I
Mhm.
said, so when you're doing that, to your point, April, you're not able to have a connection.
Mhm.
People can't connect with you through you because they can't get through that armor. And you're not going to be able to read the subtle nuances of what's going on because you're ready for battle. So what a
Exactly.
different way to describe it. And so these are the basic things that we can do as humans to shift how we show up because it shifts our energy and it shifts what our subconscious is readying our body for.
Exactly. And what's happening is we're building new neural pathways. We're changing the physicality of our brain. I love it. I could totally geek out on neuroscience and neuroplasticity. Also, we are building our own emotional intelligence. We are finding that safe space within ourselves to where we don't feel that we have to have iron. Well, it is iron, right? Like
Yes,
that
yes,
armor on
yes.
constantly. And we can be ourselves authentically everywhere we go.
Hmm.
Everywhere we go. We don't have to be a chameleon and adapt. And, that is some benefits of that for sure. Although when we can show up authentically as ourselves and genuinely, then people know who we are. Then we know our own boundaries. We know when we're feeling heightened, when we feel that we're armoring up, and then being curious of, wow, I'm really feeling that heaviness right now and that anxiety as I'm thinking about this person or thinking of what I'm going to say to them in this meeting. How can I just find a little softer space within myself? And I do that with clients with the biodynamic breath work. I
Mm.
help them find that resource within themselves so that way they can go and maneuver through life without feeling that they're going to be attacked.
Hmm.
That's the nervous system. It's heightened. We have this little red flag that goes up and this neurosensory around us that we walk into a room, and I'm sure everybody can raise their hand to this. Nobody needs to say anything, and you can just cut through the thick energy with a knife. And so right away, that's going to be okay. I'm armoring. I'm not safe.
Hmm.
But when we approach it of how can I find a safe space, a resource within me, and when little heightens come up right during meetings, there's going to be people will say something, other people are responding in a different way that really activate us for one reason or another. We can just sit there and focus on that resource and breathe into that and know that it's not ours.
Hmm.
We don't have to change them, that we can be more in this present state. And it's really empowering once you
Mhm.
think about it, isn't it, Michelle?
It's also not exhausting.
Yes. Oh, it
I've
takes
had,
so much
it's
time and
so
energy, right?
funny. Yeah, it's so funny because I've had clients that what happens is, and you and I both know this, and people have been around me, I've said this, is we have 0% control over the outside world. Zippo, we got nothing, right? We have 100% over us and how we show up and all the stuff that you're talking about. So I have people that say, well, it's exhausting. I don't want to get at a meeting. It's so chaotic and da da da. It's like, okay, but what role do you have in that? Right? You don't need to be part of it. To your point, it's like how we show up, how we navigate through. And if you think about it, we're projecting all this stuff. I've had leaders before
Always.
that were pissed off. Yeah, they were pissed off. And their thing is like, it's okay. I just put a smile on my face. And I look at them and go, let me tell you something. If whatever you're feeling, your true feelings, there's no smile on your face that's going to change that because what you're really feeling will enter the room long before you do. So know that. And then the other person is going to respond to what you're projecting, that energy, that feeling, that stuff going on. And so when you have people that are readying themselves to go into battle, into a meeting, don't kid yourself and think the other person doesn't know that because you don't even have to say anything. I mean, the energy is there.
Exactly.
Coming in with armor, it's like you might as well have a picture of yourself with armor on. And they're gonna
Hmm.
they're gonna ready themselves the same way. So now you got two people that are armored up, right, for battle. So we have
Yes.
to figure out that space and shift it. And to your point, tell ourselves we're safe. We're
Hmm.
safe. Now there is a way to be authentic. Like I'm not going to bring 100% of Michelle to a business meeting. My family may get 100% of Michelle, right? I'm going to get the appropriate level. So I'm going to go back to what we'd say when we're kids is your inside voice.
Mm.
So it's dimensions and aspects of who we are. So we're not bringing an inauthentic version, right, to what it is, but we're bringing the appropriate authentic version for the scenario. So you've got emotional intelligence, you've got political savvy, you've got all the stuff that plays a role in it. You're also authentically you. And then the other people in the room know that. And
Mhm.
their subconscious will say, it's safe. It,
Yes.
it won't be said out loud. It'll be said by body language and the energy and the relaxed nature of what they have. We communicate on that level, and people don't realize it.
Mhm. For sure. For sure. And that it's really about us, being true, going back to you saying, the indoor voice, right? In whether it's work, also thinking about home life too, right?
Mhm.
When we're true to ourselves, other people can feel it. And so people out there with partners, they've been with for whether it's months or years or decades.
Decades. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yes,
decades.
I can raise my hand to that. Decades. I walk into the room, and if I've been up in my head, because I'm a human as well, he'll just turn to me and ask, "Oh, what's going on? What's wrong with you?" I can tell you're really deep in thought about something.
Mhm.
Is something worrying you? Because he knows I get very quiet when I'm processing, when I'm overthinking, when I'm really chewing on that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and then that helps to bring me out too, instead of because I'm emotionally aware and I appreciate him, I don't become defensive or deflective, like, well, there's nothing wrong. What are you talking about? I'm fine. We have to have those real conversations with ourselves too, Michelle, of owning and being responsible of when we aren't showing up authentically and when we're in those moments of uh, the I call it the like a trauma vortex, right? We
Mm.
can't see anything else outside of it, and we're so focused on this one thing that I talked about before, right? And that
Mhm.
sympathetic nervous system, and we're just so focused on it and chewing it, and it's not getting us anywhere. But we have to really pause and ask ourselves, is this serving me right now? Or is this survival? And that's the choice, right? We can make those choices
Mm-hmm.
of turning worry into wonder.
Mm-hmm. Um, it's so funny because I've said that to myself and to clients about, is this serving you? And it happens, and I see it a lot with what's going on in the environment, and people get emotionally charged about a lot of stuff because it's, the narrative is it's personal.
Yes.
And when we get in that space of what's happening externally is personal, it triggers every defense mechanism that we have. And so it's one of those things, it's hard to justify, right? Because people that get so worked up, they're like, well, it's almost like if I let go, am I pissed off? If I let go, am I angry? Then I'm letting them off the hook, them, whoever them is, right? And I think one of the things that helps people understand, number one, is you're not your best self when you're in that headspace, right? Of stress and worry and, survivor brain, basically. You're not your best self. You're not critically thinking. You don't have empathy. I mean, all the stuff. You've shut down all the creative learning centers in your brain. And you're not serving yourself. And I think that's the one thing in talking to people that can get through, because they're like, well, I don't want to let them off the hook. And it's like, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you. And so for you to be the best leader of your own life or leader of other people, and to make really great choices and navigate life, because there's a lot of change happening. There's always going to be a lot of change happening. There's just a lot more change happening. But in order to navigate through that, you need to make sure that everything's firing and you're serving yourself. So this doesn't serve you to hold on to pissed off. And I think it's a powerful thing, because if nothing else, that will get through when I see people pause.
Mm. Yes. And it reminds me of when we're in that mode of anger and I'm not going to let go of this, it's like a dog just
Mhm.
just pulling on it. And then that creates more resistance. And then we are looking for things to be offended by. And it reminds me of Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he talks about ego and as an acronym for edging God out.
Mm. Okay.
So E, edging, G, God, or your higher power, whomever you believe in, out. And when we're not in alignment, when we're not in that heart space, as you started talking about in the beginning, Michelle, of being open and feeling more freedom and exploration and playfulness, right? And being curious, we're in the ego space, the head space, and that is separating ourselves from everything,
Mhm.
everything. And that's where those ruminating thoughts happen. And guess what? Did I talk about the 90-second rule
Mm.
before? Oh my
No.
gosh.
I
That
can't
might be a
wait.
third. That might be a third conversation. So, oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember her name. She was a neuroscientist, and she had a stroke, and she wrote a book about it. My Stroke
Oh
of
my
Insight,
God. I remember.
something Bolt.
Yes.
Yes,
I don't remember her name, but I remember I watched a TEDx or
yes,
something
fascinating,
yeah,
right?
something that she did.
So
Yeah.
she came up with that it only takes 90 seconds for when you have a thought or you have just a heightened reaction, right? Because that happens so quickly, right? With the
Mhm.
amygdala and the reptilian brain, it's very primal. So it's going to happen. We're
Mhm.
human. And it only takes 90 seconds for that cortisol, for that heightened energy to run through your system when you don't add any more fuel to it. You don't add any more thoughts. And I invite all the listeners and viewers here to try it out. Try it. Next time something happens, I mean, even when you're driving your car and somebody cuts you off, I mean, that's all it takes, right? And you get that heightened, like, oh my gosh, they, almost hit me in that jerk or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Then pause. Okay, it only takes 90 seconds. I'm going to focus on the trees I'm seeing. I'm going to focus on the lunch I just had with my friend, whatever it was, right? That brings you more openness and joy. And within 90 seconds, that will dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
Although we're so hardwired when we have that feeling, that sensation, to associate it with an emotion,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we get hooked. And then the thoughts continue to run and ruminate. Oh, yeah, just like that other person. And,
There you go.
and before they always do this, and, whatever it is, there's always going to be those thoughts coming in, and then flashes of memory of different
Mhm.
things. And our bodies are responding. It's constantly responding to those thoughts. So 90 seconds, it only takes 90 seconds for that to dissipate. And we can just really step back and just observe what's happening. Oh, isn't that interesting? Being curious, right? I wonder how long this is going to last, or I wonder how the rest of my day will go. Just because one thing happened in the morning doesn't mean the whole rest of your day is thrown out. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how many people I've heard say that. Oh, this happened today and my day's ruined.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, really?
I'm, I'm like, you're gonna
You
own
might as
that?
well just go back to bed.
You're gonna own that? What? Because that happens. We start connecting dots that shouldn't be connected. Um,
Exactly.
it's like, don't go there. I think when you're talking about someone cutting you off, people do stupid things all the time. And my thought in my brain after the initial, like, what are you doing? Is interesting choice.
Hmm.
Interesting choice.
Yeah,
Because life is a series of choices.
it's so true. It's so
Yes.
true. And
Yes.
it takes that, as you said, takes that personable. We take it so personable. Somebody cut us off.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said something in a certain way, or uh, dressing inappropriately, or whatever that is. We take it so personally. And it really isn't about us.
Mm-mm.
It's, and when we could laugh about it and realize, oh my gosh, I have all these belief systems, the BS, the belief
Mm-hmm.
systems that I believe in, and it's not even true. It's
Mm-mm.
not true. Then that we can let go. We're not that dog just pulling on it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I need to be angry because that person's got to pay for that. No, that's
No, it doesn't serve
not
you. It
true.
doesn't serve you. The only one that's hurting is you, actually. The only one that's hurting is
Exactly.
you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
the Buddhist talks about, suffering, the human suffering. And I would rather be in a more joyous, uplifted state than to suffer.
hmm And it doesn't mean that we're ignoring life and stuff that's happening. That's not what that means. But it means that because our reaction to stuff doesn't change what's going on in the outside world until enough of us start changing the way we react to stuff. But but you are your whole self. You're able to actually navigate through what's going on in the outside world, and because of that, you experience it differently.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that you pretend it doesn't exist, but it means that you don't contribute to it in a negative way. And so yeah, it's powerful stuff. I could literally talk to you for days. I just have a feeling. I appreciate this time in the room again, April, and thank you. And if there's a part 3 and a part 10 and a part 15, I'm sign me up, right? Um, I
Yes.
love learning from you. And just the way that you deliver it. It's so funny because I don't know that anyone would have ever said to you, April, remember your inside voice. I heard it a lot when I was growing up because I can be pretty loud. I usually don't need a microphone in a large room of people.
Same with me.
Yeah, so that surprises me.
Mm.
That's surprising. You were so soft-spoken, and because of that, I lean in, and I'm sure people lean in, right? Even in video stuff. So I appreciate time in the room. What are one or two things you'd love people to walk away with around this worry to wonder?
Yeah. Don't don't take life so seriously. I saw that bumper sticker, but did you die? Right? And really be curious. Be curious of, oh, it only takes 90 seconds for this to run through me. How do I want to show up for the day? And and what is really important to me right now? Not in a egoic way or anything like that, but how do I want to, oh, here it is. How do I want to end the day? How do I see myself
Mm,
ending the day? How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel content? Do I want to feel peaceful? Do I want to feel lighter, happy, joyful, that type of thing? And you say that when you first get up
mhm,
in the morning, and then remind yourself, oh, I ask myself, how do I want to be? Is this serving me to get to the happiness or the content? Maybe you won't see rainbows and unicorns by the end of the day, but you'll definitely be in a little bit more calmer space, more present. And that's where we are able to make better choices
mhm.
for ourselves.
Yeah, it's so funny because the stuff that came to me is we need to be intentional
Mm,
about what we're
living
stepping.
with intention.
Yes, yes. You got a great business that you started. We need to be intentional. It's important to step in and set that expectation. Otherwise, you can get pulled right and left. It's like my
For
neighbor was
sure.
putting shades up on the because I've got windows that are south facing, right? And so it just cooks. And so I put shades in the summertime up. And she goes, maybe you should pin it, to the house so they don't flop in the bottom. But that's intentionality for us. Don't get swayed by all this stuff
Mm.
because you don't have an intention for yourself. And when we set the intention, we plant the seed for our subconscious about how we're going to show up, how we're going to walk through, how it's going on. And if we don't do that, there's another intention being set for us. And it's going to be our
Oh,
ego, to your point. Our brain is setting in it. We're going to win. This is a battle. I know how this person was before. And then you
mm,
end up responding to emails because somebody wrote you an email that you really don't care for. You don't want to hang out with them as a friend, but now you've got this, I'm going to show you kind of thing. And so every email that comes from them, you're filtering through this thing. Set a different intention. I'm going to be
yeah.
open-minded. I'm going to be curious
Mhm.
about what they have to say. I'm not going to tell myself a story that this is connected to the other 10 things they did.
Because we really don't know. And it's
Oh,
also about putting your attention on your intention.
yes. And I remember that from last time, and I
Yes.
freaking love it. I love it. Yes.
Well, thank you, Michelle. This has
Thank you.
been a treat as always. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching and listening. I appreciate you and keep living with intention.
Yes.
Seriously.
And I echo everything that you said. Until next time. And if there's a topic that interests you or something that you're struggling with out there, drop a line and we can unpack that. So, this has been Leadership Soundbites with Michelle and April. And until next time, please like, share, subscribe, and have a freaking awesome day. Thank you.